All right, today we are going to work on learning some fundamentals of painting, and we're going to use some acrylics, these Deco Art Americana craft paints. They're really kind of a soft body, easy to find, nice bright colors, and we are just using the three primary colors. So we've got yellow, blue, and red to mix our colors together. And then we've also got black and white, which we'll also use, but not quite for this first part of color mixing. And so I have my paints all poured out here on a plate, and I'm going to use my mixed media sketchbook, just a new page in my Canson mixed media sketchbook, and I like to have my sketchbook with the binding at the top so that I can have the full range of the page. And we're gonna mix our colors right here onto the paper because the mixed media paper is nice and heavy and it can really hold on to the paints pretty well. And then I've also got 2 jars of water. Whenever I'm painting, whether it's watercolors or acrylics, I like to have 2 jars with me. It helps so that, you know, when one jar gets like extra painty, then I have another jar to work with. And then this is my plastic palette. These are really handy for mixing paints into and kind of keeping them organized, but they are kind of hard to clean. So you can see mine is a little bit messy now. What I'll do today is make a spectrum of colors here, starting off with the primary colors, and then we'll be mixing secondary colors and then tertiary colors. Just to kind of have a chart of all the colors that we can get, you know, at least some of the colors that we can get in just with these 3 primary colors. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to use this flat brush here. This one's just like a crafter's choice, pretty simple, accessible brush. I like the flat kind because I'm going to be making rectangles to make my paint swatches, and so the flat brush really helps to kind of get my brush ready for painting. I'm going to just get it a little bit wet, mix it into the water, dab it out. We don't need too much water on there. And then I'm just going to go right in, and starting with the red, I'm just going to paint a little red rectangle right about here. While you're doing this, you can do rectangles, you can do circles, you can do splotches. Doesn't have to be perfect. I really enjoy just kind of like laying it on evenly so I can see the colors really well and also see like how well it coats the paper. And then I'm going to clean my brush really well. Make sure there's no more paint left on my brush. Clean it in the water. Dab it out a little bit. All right, the next, I'm going to go to my yellow. I'm just going to pick up some yellow with my brush, and then somewhere in the middle, I'm going to leave quite a bit of space here between the red and the yellow rectangle. I'm just going to paint that yellow rectangle in. Just like that. All right. Each time I switch colors, I'm going to make sure to clean my brush off really well. And that's because these are my main colors. I don't want to get these mixed up because I want to preserve, you know, the way that these colors are. And so I'm going to make sure I wash it off really well before I go into my next color, which is going to be blue. And here, I'm going to do my blue rectangle. All right. Okay, so now we're going to mix our secondary colors. Now, secondary colors are when 2 primary colors are mixed together. So to do that, I'm going to start off with the red and the yellow. So I'm going to get just a little bit of red on my brush, and I'm going to put it into one of the cups on my palette. This is my mixing palette. Just kind of paint it in there. Clean it off really, really well. Really don't want any of that extra paint getting into my main paints. Then I'm going to pick up some yellow. About even yellow to red ratio. And I'm just going to mix them in with my brush. And what we're going for here is a good bright orange. I want it to be a nice in between that red and that yellow. It looks a little bit more red to me, so I'm going to mix in a little bit more yellow. Make sure I get all that paint off. Just get a tiny bit more yellow. And I think that's pretty good. Okay. And I'm just going to paint an orange rectangle right here in between my red and my yellow. Excellent. Now what I like to do is mix a tertiary color, and that's going to be something that is a mixture of a primary color and a secondary color. And so I'm going to mix a little bit of red with the orange that I just made to make a red orange. So to do that, my brush is totally clean. I'm going to pick up a little bit of red, less than that, not that much. Put that into a new clean cup on my mixing palette. Clean my brush. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit of the orange I just made and mix that in with the red to get this reddish orange. Okay, so it's not quite as red as the red, much redder than the orange. Just going to paint it right there, right in between the red and the orange. Great. I'm going to mix up my next tertiary color, which is going to be between yellow and orange. So I'm going to mix a little bit of yellow, that primary color, and a little bit of the orange. Clean brush. Picking up some yellow. Putting it into a new clean cup of my mixing palette. And then pick up some of the orange that I made and mix it in with my yellow. A really bright yellowy orange. Paint that right in. Pretty good yellow orange. Okay, so we've just mixed up our whole red to yellow family of primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. Now we're going to move on to the color that we can make with yellow to blue, which is green. So just moving right along here. Clean brush again. I'm going to start with a little bit of yellow, kind of scoop it up with my brush like that, and then drop it into a new clean-ish mixing palette. And when mixing with blue, blue is what we call a strong color. It can really overpower the other colors when you're mixing with it. So when we're going to pick up some blue, we're just going to pick up a little bit of blue, not nearly as much yellow as I had yellow. So just like, I'm kind of just dipping it a little bit into the blue paint there, and I'm going to mix that in. And you can already see like how strong that blue is. It already made this green that I'm going for much more blue green than kind of like a straight, you know, sort of bright green. And what I'm going for right now is really, I want more of a bright green, because I really want a good in-between of those two colors. So I think I'm going to need to add more yellow. And this is just the process of color mixing, you know, just practicing, adjusting, changing things up as they need to change. A bit more yellow. Kind of going with it, taking your time. It's really kind of enjoyable, pleasant. I love painting. Painting is so relaxing. All right, that's more the green I'm going for. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint in my green square. Go. So that's our secondary color, green. All right. Now we're going to do our tertiary color, mixing yellow and green. Let's get a bit of yellow. Put that right into a clean cup. Some green. That's too much, not so much green. Mix that in. Oh, maybe I need a little bit more green. I want it to be more like a grassy green. Just need a little bit more green. That's good. Drop that in right here. Great. Okay, now we need to mix our tertiary color between blue and green. Remember, tertiary colors are primary colors and secondary colors mixed together. Just need a little bit of blue. Blue's still very much a strong color. Just don't need a lot of it. And pick up some of this green. Mix that up here. That was a pretty good ratio just to get started off with. I think that looks pretty good. Head and paint it in. Yeah. There we go. All right, we've got one more secondary, two more tertiary colors to mix up, and that is going to be the secondary color that's made of blue and red, which is purple, violet. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of red. Since blue is the stronger color, I'm going to start with yellow, or so I'm going to start with red. And then mix in just a small amount of blue. Start. Get all that red off first, though. dab of blue. There we go. That's probably good. Red is also a pretty strong color, so it can hold up against blue pretty well. But I think we'll need more blue here. Whenever I am washing my brush, I'm trying to make sure I get it pretty good and dry. The more water that we add into this, the thinner the paint is. And that can be fine if that's what you're going for, but I really want to be able to see these colors pop. Let's see, how is this looking? Is this looking more middle purpley? Yeah, that's pretty good middle purple. Yeah, let's go with that. Make sure it all gets mixed in. Okay, I'm just gonna leave a little bit of space, kind of running out of space here on the paper. Just put a little bit of purple right there. All right, and then our tertiary color, we're going to mix blue and purple together. A little bit of blue. It's probably gonna be more blue than I really need. None of that purple. Get a real nice deep dark kind of navy blue. I think is this is going to turn out to be. A bit more of that purple. Go. All right, and then our last tertiary color, we're gonna mix the purple and the red to make kind of like a burgundy. It's the same thing we've been doing. New cup for the red. And now we're going to add a little bit of purple to that red. And all that mixed in there. And looks like I need just a little bit more blue in this purpley red. I kind of used up all my purple, making my navy here. So let's pick up just the tiniest bit of blue, just like a corner of blue. It's so strong, it'll hopefully not be too overpowering. That's pretty good. That's not so bad. Okay, let's use that. Probably use a little bit more red, actually. And a little less water. Sometimes you have to do a lot of adjustments to get the color that you're looking for. And sometimes by doing that, you kind of discover new ways to make colors that, you know, you weren't sure about before. All right, so it's sort of a purpley red. Let's go with that. Okay, so there is our color spectrum. Just using 3 colors. We've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've made 12 colors just using the 3 primary colors just from this. And so, yeah, that's color mixing.